we as communities, we do this work with the government, without the government. It is our responsibility, to be fully present on the ground, with also the support of our international friends. And we know also REDES, the final S of REDES is Sahel, and Niger is included. But for the time being, we are focusing our efforts between Senegal, northern Senegal and southern Mauritania. And our long-term vision is really to cover the whole Sahel region, including Niger.
Good afternoon, everyone, or evening or morning, depending upon where you are joining us from. Welcome to Bio for Climate and GBH Forum Network series, Life Saves the Planet. We are very pleased today to welcome the founder and team for the REDES Ecovillage movement. And REDES, I just want to say at the beginning, is an acronym that would translate from the French as the Network for Ecovillage Emergence and Development in the Sahel. The Sahel being that region of Africa that includes Senegal, Mali, Mauritania, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Gambia. Very important area that has encroaching desertification, and this movement is a major effort to regenerate ecosystems and improve community life in the region. I'm going to introduce first the moderator and then introduce the speakers, but Dr. Dave Demler, who I want to thank very much for introducing me to the REDES Ecovillage movement, is a member. I will not give his entire bio right now, but he actually combines his passion for environmental action with over 35 years supporting organizational leaders and teams grow and develop. He introduced REDES Ecovillage movement to the Elders Climate Action Group in Massachusetts, which is where I first learned of Dr. Pame, Dr. Ousmane Pame, and this movement. And I thank him very much for doing that. So Dr. Ousmane Ali Pame is a lecturer of contemporary British drama and civilization at Cheikh Anta Diop University in Dakar, Senegal, where he earned his PhD in 2002 and his doctorate in 2015. In addition to this academic work and research, he designs and coordinates international academic programs in ecovillages in Senegal. In 2009, he was elected mayor of Guedchantier, a small rural town of 9,000 inhabitants in the north of Senegal. And during his 5-year mandate as mayor, he sought to transform the town into an eco-community. He's a founding member of the Global Ecovillage Network, which has a branch, Africa, Gen Africa, and he presided over the Pan-African organization between 2012 and 2020, and he is the founder and director of REDES, which is implementing a trans-border eco-village hub between Senegal and Mauritania, consisting of 141 villages at last count in the Senegal River Valley. He'll be joined by Katrina Jeffries, who's International Relations Coordinator for REDES Ecovillages. She is an artist, a consultant, and a lifelong philanthropist. She first met Dr. Pame in 2019 during a trip to Senegal to observe a service learning program with students from the United States and Senegal. And she fully understood immediately the importance of the work that was going on there. In February of 2020, Dr. Pame asked Katrina to join his virtual support team, and in 2021, she became a permanent part of the staff. And she is deeply proud to be part of the efforts of many at REDES to restore the land, bring water to villages, provide resources to remote villages in the region. Our third speaker is Marie Nazon, Dr. Marie Nazon, who is a social worker with over 30 years of clinical experience in mental health. She's a member of the counseling faculty at the City College of New York in the SEEK program and a practicing psychotherapist. She's also a returned Peace Corps volunteer and a former Fulbright scholar in Senegal, and very committed to greening and sustainability of the planet by planting trees in Africa and Haiti. I think all of our speakers recognize that they are part of a larger movement for restoration and a very important model and piece of the work that's needed to be done if we are to restore this planet to a semblance of health. She serves as the academic programs coordinator for REDES International Service Learning Program. I will add about our moderator that he met Dr. Pame at a conference that he helped to organize called Climate Change and Consciousness, held at the Findhorn Ecovillage in Scotland. And he, along with many others, has supported Dr. Pame in developing this movement and in helping college students in their REDES-focused remote service learning experiences. And now, without further ado, and you'll see in CHAP an example of REDES Academic Service Learning Program, a link to that. So, Dr. Pame, welcome. Thank you very much for being with us today. We look forward to learning about this extraordinary model of development that you have created.
Well, thank you very much, my friend Paula, for this very kind introduction, and very complete as well. And it's a real pleasure to be here. And thank you again for hosting us, having us today, and to the entire Bio for Climate and the GBH team. We're really, really delighted to be here with you today. And it's also a very, it's a blessing also to have this closer circle of friends and colleagues, Dr. Marie Nazon, Katrina, Jeffries, and Dave, who have been very, very supportive, in the work we do in Senegal River Valley. And there are many, of course, many circles around this immediate close central circle we will discover. So, and again, the work I will present to you is, started somewhere, was inspired by somebody, but I mean, it's grown, it's spread, into bigger and bigger circles, and it has become a lovely constellation of hearts connected, trying also to support the whole, ongoing efforts in the Sahel region. So I'll share my, yes, right. So again, Paula has already, said where the Sahel is. It's this region below the Sahara Desert. It goes from Mauritania and Senegal on the east, all the way, to Eritrea and Ethiopia. So this is really a region that is really the epicenter of climate disruption, because the heat is so intense here. It rains so little, just 2 months a year. And when we are very lucky, we get, about 300 millimeters a year. And very often also this rain is torrential or irregular. And in this process also, farmers who depend on the rainfall are lost. And very often also in May, April, May, we have this very hot wind from the Sahara Desert called the Harmattan. It's just like these machines people use to dry up their hairs. It's so hot. And then it dries, the land, it dries, everything. So as a consequence, the The lakes are drying up, the river itself is losing its importance. And then also we have very frequently sandstorms. When they come, people can hardly see their fingers because it's pitch dark. And it's usually followed by a very intense rains. So we have then an alternative of floods, and most of the area in the Sahel region is like this. Very few trees. And here, this was where you can see my cursor. This is a place we visited, with the students when we first started this work. And this place here, you can see, this is where all our green initiatives are taking place, the heart of them, because we're using this part, to where we have our community center. Around it, we have a food forest emerging, and further down we have also a tree nursery. And so you will see also how this barren lunar place has just changed in about 4 or 5 years. But this is not the only thing we do. But of course, we do a number of other things. And because of the severe droughts and the heat and all the ecosystems that are being affected by the droughts and the hot winds, many people in these rural villages are leaving their villages to go to the urban centers or cross the Sahara Desert, get into Europe, and many of them, of course, die or get arrested or suffer really indescribable sufferings to go to southern Europe. And even getting water in this region is also very challenging, though we are very close to the River Senegal because of the 2 dams on River Senegal. So the water regime has changed. It's become a big lake, and also it's also contaminated by all the products, the chemical products from the farms and the industries along River Senegal. So we are close to the river. We cannot drink, we cannot swim in it, and it's just a massive waste. And it wasn't like this, about 40, 50 years ago. Because about 6 decades ago, it was a very splendid region with a very impressive biodiversity. And this lady here you can see is my grandma. She was 100 years old when she transitioned, and she told us how it was, when she was young. There were lions, there were hippos, there were, all sorts of birds, and people could walk from one village to the other without seeing the sun because it was exuberant. And this gentleman here, Amadou Seydou, lives in Guédé Chantier. I visited him about 10 days ago, and he was attacked by a lion. When you talk to the people today, people who are under 30, they think, this region has always been barren, very hostile. But I mean, these ancestors, have told us, different stories. And then my grandma, Kumba Kebe, really was my first university. She opened my senses. She told us again how people used to live, the traditions, etc. And also because we used to help her look after her herd of cows. She had about 90 of them, and each had a name, each had a history. And then though we spent hours and the whole day away from the village without water, without food, she fed us with all these stories. And I think my #1 motivation into the work I do is her. And because I think also she gave me this mission without really telling me directly, but I mean, through her stories. And yes, now I feel totally motivated to sort of help and restore as much as I can. And here is Guédé Chantier. This is the village where I grew up, and it was founded in the 30s by the French just to start experiment irrigated agriculture. So people were brought by force from neighboring villages, from Mauritania, from Mali, to start this village. And at the beginning, it was just a small number of people to come and clear the land and start agriculture. And this is also the place where globalization also were playing full speed, because we had, European services, we had UN also services, and later we had Chinese, and each one showing the best they can how the system they were, teaching the local people was best. And the Chinese were the one who connected the village with, brought electricity in the village. And at night, of course, with the darkness around this village, it looks like, a spacecraft, because all around is darkness. So, and then for about 80 years or so, we've been taught to use chemicals, to use GMOs, etc. And today, people are caught between smaller and smaller yields and bigger bank loans, because the land is dead in the process, and also even the nutrition indicators are all in red. And so at the beginning of the year 2000, we had big community meetings with students, farmers, herders, women leaders, the youth. And then for 3 days, we thought about, the strategies that we should implement to get the village out of the poverty it was really trapped in. And so a few 5 years later, I came after I had the opportunity to go to Auroville in India to take a course on eco-village design. And also I came to the village with students and explained to the village what an eco-village is, what are the advantages, etc. And so the community accepted it to be part of the national network. And then at that time, we were just a village. And a year and so after, we were promoted municipality. And for the first time in the history of the village, we were looking for a mayor and team. And of course, when people spoke to me, asked me to run, I was very hesitant, very reluctant. But I mean, finally, I accepted. And I, proposed, a program to transition the community into an eco community. And so what is an eco-village? An eco-village is a human community that is consciously working to preserve its traditions and natural resources against poverty and degradation, while upgrading the living environment of its inhabitants. So eco-villages in the north and eco-villages in the south are a little bit different, because here we have communities are already together and very strong. All they need is also to strategies to fight against poverty and fighting against ecological degradation is part of it. Bringing in, sustainable businesses, so are also part of it. I mean, it takes education, cooperation between communities to get through this process. And this is a mandala we adapted, because in our world, many people cannot read, cannot write. And the Global Ecovillage Network mandala has lots of writings in it. And here we put pictures, and this is a very good introductory, device when we go to the communities and explain, for example, what a role a mosque can play in ecology and community building, etc., etc. So, and this is really a good tool to really upgrade the living the living standards of the local communities. And again, so we tend to modernize our own cultures to improve the lives of the people. But again, modernization is not really Westernization. We can be developed following our own model, being rooted in our best cultures, and open up also to the best, the rest of the world can offer. So, and REDES itself, is an organization that was born in the process, because, first it started in Gede, and then we were including more villages, and then we also saw the success, and, the success on the ground also gave us the audacity to include even more communities and share, because, we've got successful stories here and there. So we all come together and learn from each other, and the communities also get inspired, by what's happening in the neighbors, and we keep, sharing knowledge, sharing practices, and then so REDES was born, to really support this regional transformation. And then It has many aspects. It's not just about planting trees. It's about education, providing water, organizing free medical consultation for the people, having films, conferences here and there, and working also with the local people, local governments, to really implement, this trans-border eco-village hub that is between southern Mauritania and northern Senegal. Part of what we do is really organize green caravans, and we take plants from Sahel, for example, in the north, and then we take it to villages. And currently, at the moment, in Sahel, we are in a cycle of a tree production of about 30,000. And in the past, we produced 400,000 trees that we also give for free to surrounding orchards and communities. So when I was elected mayor, the first thing we needed to do was, cleaning the village, because plastics are a complete disaster in Africa, all over Africa. People eat in the street, they throw in plastics, and now we've got weekly markets, so they produce tons and tons of plastics, which are carried away by the wind and into the rivers. Animals eat them and they feel sick. They are very deadly also traps for the fish. And in REDES Chantier, we organize the youth into eco guards, so they would regularly clean the streets. They will regularly also talk to the people, etc. So we bring out the students of the different schools. They come and clean, and we also did this with in other places. Maybe Nazon will come back to this. And again, also eco-villages are not just, a nostalgic return to the past. No, I mean, it's combining, modern technologies with our own cultures to upgrade. So, for example, one of the first things we did in REDES was to open up, a computer center, secondhand computers. But I mean, many of the kids around have never seen, let alone, touch a computer. So it's also important, to fill up this computer gap literacy between urban centers and the rural villages. And also fish farming, because also many of our fishermen were out of jobs. So we had also students from the US who came to help us extend our water distribution system in the village. And one fantastic thing, completely unexpected, we learned after we expanded this, the water distribution system in the village, it freed the young girls from their daily chores of providing water to their own families. They could go to school. And at the beginning, we could not see the direct link between these things. But I mean, also in this process, we are all learners and all teachers at the same time. We have adjusted, our approaches several times. Yes, so REDES Chantier, and also with a Chinese who taught us, who gave us for free tons and tons of chemicals. And of course, we started teaching the people about the dangers of all these chemicals. Because we are in a context where people can read and write, so they manipulate all these toxic products without gloves, without proper protection. I have a brother-in-law who even lost one part of his face because he carried it on his, and then it sipped over his face. And then we had also people who died. Right. So taking people out in the land to teach them exactly how to revive the land, to reconnect, because we also started, losing the traditional knowledge and the traditional technologies related to land. So it's really practical, not really close in an AC room. No, we go out in the open, we share knowledge, and it is a very instructive way to learn. And we basically work with women from different villages and the youth also from different villages, how to make a compost, how to process food, because if you want to be really effective on the ground, you need to work with the youth organizations and also with women's cooperatives. This is what also REDES does. And also we've been also communicating a lot, inviting journalists. We've been on radios. I've been writing newsletter articles for newspapers, national newspapers. And through all these communications, also, we got in touch with people doing the same thing in Mauritania we were not aware before. And this, really strengthened, the connections that the network also was building. And also, we also invited the government to support. And this was my earliest meeting ever, because that was 7 a.m. with the minister here, environment minister. And then because that day he had also a ministerial meeting with the president, with all the other ministers. So we came earlier, and then that was before my flight to Egypt, where we created the Global Ecovillage Network Africa. Really, this communication has supported the work of REDES. And also in the middle of the barren land, I showed you in 2018, we camped in the desert. We had a delegation from Mauritania, elders, women leaders, we had youth. And then for the whole day, we were there in the open, dreaming how to regenerate this together. And of course, it was hot, sandy, very, very difficult. And on that very place, we built a community center, because our and this is the heart of the Ecovillage hub, and we would really like to use this to inspire and keep things also moving in the region. And also we use theater a lot, again, to organize our Ecovillage design courses, discussions. Here people were telling how the forest was, about 50 years ago. The elders standing said, represented trees, and the people here, lions, and then people, the audience there would discuss all this, and also we had experts, local experts also, who come and teach people how to prepare their land, etc. And then on this picture here, we were celebrating some of our successes. Food also is also a major entrance when you fight against poverty. So we had our friends from Daman who came to teach us how to process food naturally and keep it for a longer time. And our friends from Los Portales taught us how to also make cheese, because we have lots of goats around, but we tend to just have use the milk during the short rainy season. And apart from this, there's not much that we do with the goats. So REDES also has been creating orchards, and this is really one of my prize here. It's in a herding village called Medina Fresbe, with the support of Damanhur, Italy. We created this orchard, and 8 months later, they had the bananas were much taller than me, produced banana. They could also have vegetables. When they went to the market, it's just to buy fish and other things. But I mean, this really helped, secure food in this village. So, and all these villages, Jara, Lahel, we created also farms for men, farms for women, etc. And we keep doing this. So this is our community community center. And then 2 of the people who came here to help, with the foundation came from Mauritania, because the border between Mauritania and Senegal is completely artificial, and people are still scared to cross this border because of the colonial legacy. Also part of the mission of REDES is really to dissipate this fear we have also inherited from the colonial times. Yeah, development of our food forests. So the students have been instrumental in implementing all this. My colleague Marie Nazon will come back to this. So this is the beginning also our food forest, completely dry. Before, water was a serious problem. We had to use a cow, donkeys to bring water. It was extremely difficult. And but I mean, it's improving slowly. And so we produce, about with just 10,000 USD, we produce 400,000 trees for 20 villages. Small money, but we made it work really, really hard for the network. Yes, so improving the water, the irrigation system in our emerging food forests with the support of Los Portales. But still today, I mean, a lot of work, also needs to happen, because we lost a part of our baby trees this summer with the heat. So also the collection, everything we do, we involve so many people. Like the seeds, when we have these meetings, we encourage people to exchange seeds. Also here in Dakar, we have a team, my family, basically, we dry up and then we count the grain, we send them to the north, and then we also during the mango season, we collect mangoes in Gedeshante, which is much greener than the other villages. And we have also our friends from Casamance, that's the greenest region in Senegal. They also send seeds to support the work we're doing in northern Senegal, because they are aware if the desert progresses, so later also their own region will be also dry as ours. So we also created a tree nurseries in secondary in villages to support also the tree production. One of our programs also is water. So far we have implemented with the support of friends around the world, 49 wells. And then these wells are also, they implement change in the village, because people can drink water which is much safer than the water from the river, and they do not have to cover long distances to get their water. So they have less water-related disease, and so it also frees the girls from the chores of covering long distances to provide water. And also the cattle also can drink much safer water. One also important program we do is also building classrooms for in the region. 13 classrooms by an organization supported by an organization of friends, Soutenir l'enseignement en Afrique, but they stopped because some of them are sick now and others are aging. So, but I mean, and then we were able, with the support of my friends, to build 13 classrooms. It's just a couple who in southern France I met years back in England when I was a student. And then also using theater, because as I said, again, people most people do not read, do not write. So we use theater to raise awareness around nutrition, plastics, eco-village design, the importance of keeping our cultural identity, etc. And it's a very, very effective also tool of change. Culture, again, because we are on a planetary village, it's so easy to get lost. But I mean, we definitely need to also consider our best traditions and combine them, with the best, influences from the rest of the world. Yes, and also because our mission is also to improve the welfare of the people, we invite, international doctors, local doctors to come and give free medical consultation. For example, this gentleman here is a primary school teacher. It takes 1 month's salary to buy a new pair of glasses. So people send secondhand, good glasses, and with the support of local doctors, they are given also for free to people. And REDES is really also developing its network with the local national agencies and also lots of partners. With our service learning program, I'll stop here and give the floor to my friend Marie Nazon. Thank you.
Wow, Ousmane, I've been working with you how many years? And every time I hear the story of REDES, I get motivated, I get inspired, and I have deep gratitude for the work that you have started, that we're doing for the planet. I love that you shared that your grandmother was your first university, and indeed, our students from the International Service Learning Program, they sit at the foot of the elders, as well as peers who are skilled in areas of sustainability, to learn and to grow. And the service learning program has been, is a cornerstone of the REDES, we bring students. What's unique about the service learning program is that the students are American students or European students, are working directly with Senegalese peers. So unlike a study abroad program where students are isolated, working with each other or taking classes with each other, our service learning program, bring the two cultures together. And so offered a more intimate, a more comprehensive, a more cross-cultural connection than they would have had they just come on a study abroad program. And not only are they providing skills and service to the community in terms of activities and projects that has been identified by the community, like the water project, like the school and the food forest. Many of the projects that Ousmane just talked about, students have participated, both American, Europeans, and Senegalese students together, working together to bring service to the community. The students are thereby also gaining skills. They're gaining information about how Africa is handling this climate crisis, how Africa, how in that area of Senegal, how communities are coming together, bringing back the old ways, right? This is nothing new. Bringing back the old ways to nourish and take care of the planet. So the students, there's a photo right here of a student holding her, it's actually, she wrote her thesis, her BA thesis. So not only are we encouraging learning, but we encourage research, and students have given back to REDES as well as learning for themselves by doing deep research on the work that we're doing. So this student completed her bachelor's thesis and produced a quantitative study on REDES. And this past January, we had another student from City College, the university, my home university, who did an independent research on the well projects that we have. So REDES we've been building wells. We received some fundings and we built the wells, but didn't have the time to really see the impact of those wells. And so her offering to do the research on that particular project has given us quantitative as well as a qualitative information that shows the impact of the well project. So the impact of the service learning program is so manyfold. And what I have to say is that one of our main program is with City College of New York, which is in New York City. Again, my home university. It's a 3-week program in January, and we have other programs that can be longer, that can be shorter, but the City College has been the most consistent program that we've had starting since 2013. And I have to tell you, within the 3 weeks that the students are there, we have seen transformation, personal growth and transformation. It's nothing like I've seen before in other programs that I've been in. And people say, well, what can they do in 3 weeks? They definitely support the community that they are involved in. We work with them. Students enter that experience with several orientations. They don't come in without information, and the orientation continues while they are in country, and they're doing the orientations with their Senegalese counterpart. And so the learning and the knowledge and the growth happens throughout the 3 weeks, right? And so by the time they leave, they're leaving a part of themselves in Senegal, in the community that they've given service to. They have done work with supervision between myself, Ousmane, and Katrina, and our other partners during the program, in terms of what is needed and what is sustainable, so that when they leave, the work can continue. What we've been experiencing is students who have done the program many years coming back to Senegal because they've sustained the connection that they made with Senegal and their Senegalese counterpart. They have come back to do international research as an international internship for 3 months, 6 months. We're preparing for a student to come hopefully in November, who will be an international, doing an international internship with REDES for 6 months. Lastly, the program is sustainable, and that is what REDES is about, is sustainability, and it definitely is fostered with the International Service Learning Program, and it's amazing in terms of the transformation that happens to students, that they carry it forward. They carry it forward in their lives, and it continues long after the 3 weeks or the 4 weeks or the 3 months that they supported the program. I think that's about it. And yeah, and so these are some of the photos of our from the program. And 1 year, my class was invited to participate in a radio program where they shared their experience, what it is that they were doing. We supported in making the bricks for a classroom, helping dig the well, and participate in the blessing of before the beginning of the well. And the students really get a sense of the culture because they are present, they are right there as all of this is going on. Yeah, I think if there's anything else that you might want to add, I just have to say I can't talk enough about the importance that the service learning program is to REDES, and how it has supported building community and the ripple effect of community that it does beyond Senegal, beyond the United States, and dismantling myths about Africa, dismantling myths about Americans. That happens throughout the program. And the students come back really nourished. They're nourished and overfilled, and that overfilled continues in their own community. Lastly, each program, we ask the students to do a pledge to the planet. Whatever it is, however small it is, whether it's planting a garden, reducing waste at home, but they take a pledge, and I have to say many of them have maintained those pledges over the years, because at the end of the day, it is that we are stewards of this planet, and REDES is a prime example of what stewardship looks like, how stewardship shows up, and this is passed on to the students, and they take it on to their community. I'll pass it back on to you.
Thank you, my friend. I know, the whole conference can just be focused on the service learning programs because there's so much to share, and because of time constraints, so we'll keep it short. And thank you again very much, Marie Nazon, for this support all these years, because also this is something we have created together. Yes, now the floor to our friend Katrina Jeffries, who is in charge of REDES International Partnership. Is Katrina there?
Yes, thank you, Ousmane, and also Marie. I just want to re-emphasize how important the transformation of the students, not only the international students, but the local, the Senegalese students, who some of them who have never visited this part of their own country and seen some of the things that we expose them to in their own country, how transformative our service learning program is for these students. They become different people once they go through our program. And I now want to talk just a little bit very quickly about all of our international and national alliances. And all of these logos of all of these organizations that you see on this screen were made possible by one person, and that is Dr. Ousmane Pame. I can't express enough my admiration and my support and my loyalty to this man who is changing the planet. And in this capacity, of course, it looks like, maybe we function as a large organization, but it's essentially the three of us, and mostly it's Dr. Pame. And, we still, as all organizations in this network, we are still seeking funding. We still need funding for our infrastructure. We need funding for our tree nursery, the wells, the schools and education program, and the health programs. And, we get funding from a lot of personal friends and acquaintances donate to us and are very, very loyal to us and have really given us their time and their energy, their love and their support. I also want to say that with all of this, we're talking about the education, the research, and the work. It is all connected through a spiritual basis. This connection from these organizations who all care about the earth and about our future and about the climate and about sustainability. It all comes together here. So I'm going to cut my comments short so we can get to questions. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Katrina, for also all the wonderful work and energy you've brought into these organizations since you came. So some of the, you've already summed up, this page, because we need expanding, we need, support, to support, the food forest and all the other programs. And we plan also to organize the second Ecovillage Festival next year. In 2 years, in 2025. Yes, and we definitely need support also to transition REDES into a much stronger organization. Well, these are the people I'd love to thank, because they've been very supportive individually, together in so many different ways, the newspaper, the website, the school programs, extending the networks. Really, they have made their difference in the Sahel region. And again, if you know anyone who will feel called, so this is the link for the donations. And thank you again very, very much for your attention. I'll look forward to hearing your questions and also exchanging. Thank you so much.
Okay, Ousmane, there are a number of questions in the Q&A box about connections of REDES Ecovillages to other parts of the world. So, for example, someone is asking about whether you're aware of efforts in Niger to nurture the growth of trees whose roots were still there, but which had been traditionally cut down for agriculture. Someone else is asking about affiliation of REDES Ecovillages with the Great Green Wall. So if you could say a little bit about how REDES Ecovillages is connected in Africa and what you've learned from those connections.
Yeah, the Green Wall project is a fantastic vision of the governments of Africa, which is, it's 15 kilometers wide and 7,000 plus kilometers long, and then it's supposed to be built under across the continent below the Sahara Desert to stop the Sahara Desert from encroaching. And in the area where we are, though the government has good intentions, it's only REDES that is present and not the government. But I mean, we as communities, we do this work with the government, without the government. It is our responsibility, to be fully present on the ground, with also the support of our international friends. And we know also REDES, the final S of REDES is Sahel, and Niger is included. But for the time being, we are focusing our efforts between Senegal, northern Senegal and southern Mauritania. And our long-term vision is really to cover the whole Sahel region, including Niger. We know lots of also challenges are happening there in neighboring Mali, but I mean, yes, so we will find ways in the coming years to reach out and also work closely with the people. We're already talking with people in Burkina Faso as well. Thank you.
Yeah, great. And someone is also wondering about how is it that you engage or persuade different villages in northern Senegal, the Senegal River Valley, to participate. And there's a related question about, does the concept of land ownership affect your ability to create eco-villages in the Senegal River Valley?
Yeah, thank you very much for this question. I mean, I am from the north. I was born there. I grew up there. My family in so many generations, has been living there. So in a way, we are connected differently from, the people in the different villages. Also the river itself, which is now the official border, was not a border before. So all the kingdom of the Futa Toro was on both sides of the river. So we also, part of what we do is also to really reconnect these broken community pieces together. For land, in Africa, the land is community property and not private, and it's a family. It's not, just for individual. And then for REDES, we do not come and work on people's land, but when we support them in the work they do. By bringing skills, by bringing resources, but we do not, control the land in any way. So it's their own land we support. So, and also we feel very welcome because, again, as we are related to so many villages around, so we have few challenges here and there, but I mean, they're all surmountable. But I mean, it's also part of nature.
I wanted to add to that, Dave. We don't solicit people to become eco-villages. They see the work that we are doing in the villages that we are working with, and there's a line. I mean, every time Ousmane goes up to the north, there's 3 or 4 people who are, kind of waiting and hanging back. And then when we finish the presentation, they're like, can you come to our village, please? We want to join this network. How do we do this? So it is very much word of mouth and word of success, right? So they see the results that we're getting in the villages we're working with, and word gets around, people talk. So they come and they solicit us. And this is the way that we prefer, because it is as to emphasize what Dr. Pame just said, we are supporting them, right? We're whatever their needs are. Some people, one lady came earlier this year in January, she came with a list of things that she wanted to be done in her village. So, we can accommodate some of them, but not all of them, depending on our programming and our funding.
Yeah,
sure.
And also the word of mouth is really helping spread all this. And they are also organized in WhatsApp groups. So there are continuous discussions. So all the time. And then they've got our phone numbers, they call, and every time we go to the villages, several people come, and we also visit them. We have long waiting lists of so many, needs, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Several people are asking about holistic management in terms of integrating cattle, goats into grassland restoration, for example. Can you say a little bit about that, about how the different pieces relate to each other? In other words, the water, the animals, the plants, all of that stuff together.
Yeah, I'll just give you the example of Lobudu, which is one of my favorite villages in southern Mauritania. So in the 80s, Lobudu was also a desert village, arid, almost no food for people, for animals. And then they decided to fence, enclose 18 hectares after a series of discussions to keep the animals out of this land. And about 10 years later, it became a real forest. So they reintroduced the animals. And because also this forest, produces leaves, there are many insects around, etc. So, so they feed, the fish in the river. And the fish has become abundant and really big fish. And also the fishing birds are back. So in just about, 2 decades, they have restored the full cycle of life. And today, when you go to Lobudu, it's not only much cooler, but I mean, they've got food all year round. I think it's just a question of really balancing everything. But I mean, separating the cattle from everything else, this will also create some disaster.
Yeah, wonderful. You reminded me, Ousmane, when I tell people, I mean, I think as enthusiastic as Katrina is about you and your work. And what I often say is, Ousmane thinks like an ecosystem. He thinks in ecosystems. So you've just given a great example of pulling together all the pieces, the land, the animals, the insect, everything, the water, the soils. It's really tremendous work that you're doing. And I look forward to staying in touch with you. And I'm sure that we'll have time after this to answer some of the other questions that we didn't get to today, perhaps in the material that folks send out after this. Paula?
I'm bemoaning the fact that we don't have more time right now, because this has been such a moving and inspiring presentation, and one that I know people have been longing to hear, that this is possible, and that it is a gift out of Africa, like so many other gifts from Africa that we have. And I want to thank all of you for this presentation, to say that I believe at Biodiversity for a Livable Climate, we can make those questions available. And if you want to answer them at greater length, we can make sure that those responses are sent to the community of people who attended. And I also, very honored to have met you and to be presenting this incredible, inspiring model. Thank you so much. And,
Thank you, Paula.
And Bio for Climate has organized this event and presenting it in collaboration with GBH Forum Network. This is Bio for Climate's donation link. So we'll leave that on for people to see it, and we will thank our colleagues and co-hosts at GBH Forum Network, and give our blessings and love to all of you in Senegal and in New York.
Thank you so much, Paula.
Yes.
Yeah.
For having us.
Okay.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave.
And-
And Frederica.
Wonderful to be together today.
Yeah,
Blessings.
All right.
Bye.
it is a blessing.